Awareness is the first step in healing. Then Ornish.
Welcome to Living at Your Finest podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Babs. I'm a triple board certified family, obesity, and lifestyle medicine physician, and I am the founder of Living at Your Finest Wellness, a holistic direct primary care practice. Did you know that 80% of lifestyle-related chronic diseases within our communities are preventable, with poor diet being the primary culprit? Now, contrary to what we thought, that it was our unfortunate genes, the good news is that we can make changes together to improve our health and quality of life. So that's what this podcast is all about. The Living at Your Finest podcast is devoted to helping families to live at their finest well-being using a holistic approach with a healthy lifestyle to nourish and flourish as a whole, vibrant, and healthy champion. So join me and my guests as we share transformational and sustainable skill sets from our health and wellness journey to support you and your families in achieving optimal well-being. Ready to live at your finest? Well, let's get to it.
Greetings, Living at Your Finest health champions. Welcome back to the Living at Your Finest podcast show. How have you been? It's been a minute. I trust it all as well. Here in Atlanta, we've had snow, not so much snow. It's just February and we've had so much going on, but I'm just really pleased to be here with you on this Heart Health Awareness Month. This month is special to me and I'm so passionate about it because of what I'm hearing, not just in my community, but also on the news. I don't know if you've heard about that 44-year-old husband and father of 3 in Canada who went to the emergency room. According to his wife, blood pressures were as high as the 200s, complaining of chest pain, and he was only given Tylenol and sat for 8 hours. And unfortunately, collapsed and passed away. This is so unfortunate. It's most likely a cardiac arrest. So my heart breaks when I hear these kind of scenarios and sad stories. I would not wish this on my family, my friends, or even my enemies. So today I want to talk about this topic titled Know Your Heart, Advocate for Your Life. And I'm going to talk on several points, why it matters, what are the stats right now for heart disease. We all know it's the number 1 killer in men and women. Men much earlier, women much later in midlife. It's also a risk factor. What are those risk factors that we need to look out for? What are the health markers? And how do we advocate for ourselves? So that's what we're going to dive into. Please call your friends, share this with others. This is important for all of us so that we are healthier together. So let's get to it. Your heart does not wait, and neither should you when it's talking. It's subtle, yes. It's powerful and strong, but it does speak to us. It really does speak to us. And sometimes we don't hear, we don't listen. I know when I had my blood pressure problems almost 18 years ago, blood pressure's 220 over 120. I was having headaches for 4 days and I wasn't paying attention until it became unbearable. And then I found out that my blood pressure was that high. So it does speak to us. Most times it's a silent killer. You don't hear anything, you don't know anything, but it tells you if we listen, if we're subtle to listen. But we shouldn't wait. We should know the signs. We should know our risk. And we also need to know how to advocate for ourselves, not just loudly, but very clearly and persistently. You know, I always say, yes, as much as your doctors are great, they're well-trained, there are a lot of factors, so many factors in the emergency room, in the clinic, so many variables. So you have to be your own best advocate. You got to speak out. You got to speak out loud. And why does it matter? As I already said, number 1 killer in both men and women. And so we can't delay. We cannot misunderstand symptoms. Men present differently. I mean, when it comes to heart, it's pain, excruciating pain. Feels like an elephant on your chest. It radiates up your neck, down your shoulder. You know, there sometimes could be tingling. It doesn't get better. For women, it could present like acid reflux. All right. Acid reflux pain, some people, some GI issues going on. So it presents differently. But the key word is if it's not getting better, if it's getting worse, it's amplifying. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? So these are some of the symptoms to look out for. But it matters because current data shows that heart disease still remains the number 1 cause of death globally. In the US, 1 in 5 deaths. So every 40 seconds, someone in the US has a heart attack. And many of these are preventable, right? When we manage our risk factors. Now, when you delay, it gets worse by the minute. It gets worse. So that's why we want to evaluate as the symptoms come. Staying in the ER and just chilling and waiting, it will get better. We don't want to do that, right? So that is why we need to be mindful. What are the risk factors? Certainly diabetes, hypertension, all the risk factors, high cholesterol. And if you don't know, how are you going to know, right? Even though I'm not on medications and I was for about 3 months, I still want to check my blood pressure. I still want to know what's going on. I want to manage my risk factors, right? I want to manage my lifestyle, the habits, but you got to check. Just saying I haven't checked my blood pressure in forever is not good enough. You cannot say you're too busy. There's this adage that says that if you don't take time to take care of yourself, you'll be forced to take time to do it. Let's be proactive. Let's not be reactive, right? So definitely we want to be mindful of what these risk factors are. Family history. If anyone has had a heart disease, especially in a younger age for men, and then women midlife, because women have atypical symptoms. Some of them could just have shortness of breath. They're just feeling tired and fatigued. Why? Because your heart is supposed to be a muscle. It's pumping blood, but because it's not doing the work it needs to, then you don't have the oxygen, you don't have the nutrients, right? There's nausea, vomiting. All of those could be attributed to heart disease, right? And then midlife for women, the estrogen is an anti-inflammatory. It's a protector of the heart. It helps with vasodilation. It makes the arteries pliable, right? Blood flows well. In the absence of estrogen, that's why a lot of people will have palpitations. I've experienced that. Well, all of a sudden I'm just having palpitations out of nowhere. That's because your estrogen is declining, and that benefit that you get with having estrogen in women in midlife, you don't have that anymore. And that's why women in midlife tend to have heart disease in their 50s compared to men in their 40s. All right. So be mindful of these risk factors. I want to call them out again. High blood pressure. Don't say because you feel okay, you don't want to know what your blood pressure is. High cholesterol. Know what your numbers are. Are you smoking? Do you have diabetes, pre-diabetes? Do you have extra fat? Let's just keep it real. Extra fat, there is amount of fat that we're supposed to all carry, but when we have excess amount of it, it takes out a life of its own, and it begins to secrete inflammatory markers into the body, into the bloodstream. So imagine if you have an invader in your house and it's not supposed to be there. It's going to do things that you don't expect it to do, right? Because there is a foreigner in the building. So that's what happens when we have extra fat. And that's why we talk about being within average, within weight, normal body fat and visceral fat, so that you can be healthy. All right. Sedentary lifestyle is certainly another one of those risk factors. When we don't move, we're not burning calories, we're storing fat. All of these are risk factors. Okay. So be aware of them. Look out for them. Don't ignore them. All right. Rule of thumb is if something does not feel right, or it's new, or you can't explain it, and you have these risk factors, it is heart disease unto proven otherwise. All right. So what are some of those health markers? Now, I want to put a plug here. If you're in the Atlanta area, I am hosting the heart and kidney screening in collaboration with the Care Access Research Organization. They're really big on providing free screening for the community, because we know once you know better, you do better. So I will be hosting that February 18th at my practice from 4:30 to 6 p.m. That's a Wednesday, February 18th, 4:30 to 6. Come, let us get educated. Let's advocate for ourselves. Let's feel empowered, and let us screen. So what are the tests we're going to be checking for? Certainly A1C, that checks for sugar. We're going to be checking your cholesterol, the one that you take it's dietary cholesterol. So we naturally make cholesterol because it's good for hormones and all of that. But the foods we eat can give us the dietary cholesterol. So we will check for that, your lipid panel. And then we'll also check for the sticky cholesterol, which is called lipoprotein A. That is the sticky cholesterol that's been shown to increase the risk of heart disease. That test is also included. Kidney, liver. We're also going to be checking for your sensitivity, right? So inflammatory markers, CRP. So we're going to be checking for that. So all of this will be done free. And the additional bonus, you actually get a gift card. If you have any of these risk factors that I shared, please come out for screening. If you know anyone in the area, share this information with them. We just really need to take better care of ourselves. Not knowing is not an excuse. Now let's talk about lifestyle as medicine. It's not enough to identify what the risk factors are, but let's talk about how we can protect our heart, the beautiful heart that God gave us, the beautiful, strong heart. It's again, talking about those pillars of health and well-being. I talk about lifestyle. I am boarded as a family physician. I am boarded in lifestyle medicine. Lifestyle medicine is evidence-based medicine that uses lifestyle lifestyle habits and behaviors, not only to prevent, but to treat, and in some cases, reverse chronic lifestyle related diseases. So using nutrition, plant forward, plant forward, plant forward. I'm not saying that don't eat meat, but you got to eat more plants than you eat any animal product, right? The focus is eating 80% always plant focused food. So your vegetables, your fruits, your legumes, your nuts and seeds, your whole grains. You want to have a nutrition that is balanced, right? The Mediterranean style, high fiber diet, because that's where the anti-inflammatory comes. That's where the antioxidants lie. Also movement. Movement is lotion is the motion. Motion is the lotion. So you want to move, right? The more we move, we burn calories, we help insulin resistance. We have to sleep consistently, right? Stress management matters. All of this helps us. It manages our blood pressure, it manages our glucose, it also manages cholesterol. We got to do these things. These things matter, all right? So I want you to pay attention to how many of these things you're doing on a consistent basis. It's not so much the intensity, but the consistency of how well you sleep, of how you manage your stress. Social connections is tied to longevity. All of this. I mean, you've heard of where people have a heartbreak and then they feel like their heart is breaking in several pieces. These are all emotional things. So we have to guard against them. And the beauty of it all is we can make a difference, even if it's just 1% every day, better every day, 1% better every day.
Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. My goal on this podcast is to empower, educate, and encourage you to take actionable steps to triumph at living at your finest, body, mind, and spirit. Of note, the information provided here is for educational purposes only and does not substitute as medical advice. Please discuss your healthcare needs with your licensed medical professional. If you are in need of a compassionate and comprehensive holistic physician or know someone who is, please reach out through my website, livewellness.com, for a meet and greet. It will be my honor to talk to you. Are we connected on social media yet? I share more in-depth content on best practices to ensure that you live at your finest daily. So please join me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Living at Your Finest Wellness, where we can learn together and stay connected. Lastly, please subscribe to iTunes if you have not done so already and share the podcast within your circle of influence. An extra step, leave a review and let me know what topics or discussions you would like to hear more of. Thanks in advance. It is always a thing of joy to hear from you. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
So let's talk about it. How do you advocate for yourself? If you do go to the hospital or you call your doctor, don't take it lightly at all. Be very clear about what you're feeling, because it's as clear as you get that your doctor or whoever is triaging you is going to get. They ask you very clear questions. You're having chest pain. Be very clear about it. Where is it? Is it getting worse? Does it go anywhere? They, of course, can ask you these questions, but it depends on how busy you are. And if you're somebody that's laid back and you're like, chill, I don't want to bother anyone. I have patients that tell me, I'm going to get out of your face. I don't want to bother you. I'm like, that is what I'm here for. Tell me what is going on. Oh, I'm sorry, I have too many questions. No, I want you to tell me what's going on. Okay, so be very clear about your symptoms. Anyone that complains of chest pain, really, we examine, listen to your heart, lungs, do your vitals, EKG, do some blood work, right? But if you come and you're not clear about chest pain, or you're just saying you have a tingling feeling, you're not very clear, unfortunately, depending on how busy the place is, you might not get a response. So please be very clear. You might need continuous monitoring. All right. Repeat your concerns if you're dismissed. Do not be quiet. Please do not be quiet. Also, of course, if it's an emergency and you're just rushing out, have somebody advocate for you, because you might not hear everything that they're saying to you, and they might not hear everything you're saying. So have somebody with you so that they can express how you're feeling. Right now, all of us need to have somewhere in our phones what medications we're taking, or pictures of all the medications we're taking, because you don't want to go to the emergency room or to your doctor, or maybe you go to another doctor and you don't know your medications. You need to know the medicines, the vitamins, what you're taking. You got to know your family history, right? You have to be very clear on when your symptoms began. So documentation and support, all of this matters. Don't wait until something bad happens for you to have all this information at your beck and call. All right. They say failing to prepare is preparing to fail. We don't want to fail. Let us know all this information now. Find out now what your risk factors. Don't leave without answers. A lot of times I've had where I ask people, what did they say? Oh, I don't know. What was your x-ray? Well, I guess it should have been normal. They didn't see anything. No, ask. It doesn't matter if it was normal. Let them tell you it is normal. Okay. Find out if it's normal. This era where no news is good news, don't do that. Please don't do that. We already know human beings, we are all human beings. We make errors and mistakes. We do our best, but there are multiple factors. If it's a busy clinic, busy emergency room, it could get missed. It could fall through the cracks. We don't want that to happen. But when you ask these questions, it will keep us on our toes, the doctors, the nurses, everyone, your care team. All right. So ask, what test do you need to do to rule out cardiac disease? What did your test show? Ask the questions. Ask if you need to see a cardiologist, even if they're discharging you and everything was normal, like your cardiac enzymes, everything was fine. Ask them, do I follow up with a cardiologist? What do I need to do? Most times, if you are ruled out for cardiac disease, they will have you follow up with your pre-CP, or they would ask you to do a stress test. There's so many things that can happen after that visit, especially if they rule out heart disease. Heart disease comes in different ways. It could be an arrhythmia. It could be, what we call angina. It could be unstable angina. There's so many of these things, but please ask questions and make sure that you follow up. All right. These are also very, very important information. My heart goes out to the family that lost their dad. I've heard of this over and over again. We need to just really do our best to advocate for each other, to advocate for ourselves. All right. So in closing, I really want to thank you for listening to Living at Your Finest podcast show. In this episode, I really hope that it's helped you. I want you to know that this is the life that we live, and we have to advocate for ourselves. We want to guard our hearts because our heart is here to guard us. And if we treat it well, it will treat us well. But most importantly, we know that we deserve to live at our finest, right? Because we are worth it. So please share this episode with others. If you're in the Atlanta area, I'll leave more information about how you can come for free testing and just education about the heart. All right. Until next time, take care and God bless.